Hello and welcome back to My Own Worst Enemy. It is time to start our fourth turn of Triumph and Tragedy. I've already advanced the year marker over here up to 1939. It is 1939 now. The phase marker is at the new year. And got to remember to advance that as we go along because I've been forgetting that. And the next thing we would do would be a victory check. Of course, we're not there yet. There's still no one at war. We're still at peace going into 1939. Looking at the board and where everything is now, I'm not sure that war is going to break out in 1939. And I say that because if you look at Germany, their resources are still at 9. Their armies are not that built up. Well, they're not built up enough to go to war, I don't think. The Soviets are the only ones that really are, as far as their industry goes and their resources and their population, these numbers I feel like are high enough for them to go to war. But also their armies are not really built up enough, I don't think, to engage in war. Now that could change throughout this turn. I don't know. We're going to wait and see. The Soviets do have 3 technologies. Their cards are off the board here, but they do have motorized infantry, heavy bombers, and air defense radar. The West has sonar. That gives first fire to their submarines, and they have rocket artillery. So that's first fire for their infantry. And then the Germans have LSTs. Now, I don't know what good LSTs are going to be to the Germans. I mean, they could do an Operation Sea Lion thing over here, I guess, if with those LSTs. But again, I don't think they're quite ready to go to war yet, but who knows how things will unfold. We'll have to wait and see. So with that in mind, let's see. I've already shuffled these cards. We'll give them another quick, just shuffle through them again. The action deck, of course. And then over here we have the investment deck. Let's give those a quick shuffle. Again, I've already shuffled these. The card sleeves on these things make them actually, I think, easier to shuffle, which is nice. So there's the investment deck, and there is the action deck. And now the next thing we do are the peace dividends, which I forgot at the beginning of last turn, but we did that at the end of last turn, so it worked out. So we're going to, let's see, we are going to, we'll just start with the Axis down here and draw a peace dividend for them. Reach in here and grab one. They've had 3 zeros so far, and now they're going to get a 1. So they finally got a 1. We'll go up to the Soviets next, and we'll reach in here, and they will get a peace dividend. They're at 3 now. And now they're at 4 because they drew a 1. And now we will come down to the West, draw their peace dividend. They're currently at 2. And they get a 1, so they're at 3. So it looks like the Soviets are leading with 4 on these peace dividends. Soviets aren't looking too bad right now. Again, no war started, so I don't know if that really means anything in this game. And then the final thing today, we got to determine the turn order for this turn. So I'm going to roll this D6, and we'll see who's going to get to go first. We roll a 5, so that is the Soviets with the turn order going towards the West. So the West will be next. So we'll mark our turn order going that way, and we will give the current turn marker to the Soviet player. All right, so we will start with the Soviet player. We are in the production phase now. I'm going to remember to move my phase marker down to the production phase. And so we look at the USSR, and their industry is sitting at 11. So we're going to grab this D20 that I use and put out that 11 to remind me they have 11 production points to spend. Now the Soviet Union, I think they're going to really need to start building up their military because I don't sure, but it's looking more and more likely that it will. So I think they're going to want to build up some of these cadres. So we're going to leave some points for that for sure. So I think they're only going to buy 3 of these investment cards. Actually, you know what? They're going to buy 4 investment cards. So we're going to get 4 investment cards. And let's put those here for right now in case I change my mind. And then I think they're going to get, let's see. I think they're going to get 3 action cards. So 1, 2, 3. So that was 4 and 3. Is that what I said? Yeah, so that's going to leave them with 4, and I believe I'm going to use those 4 points to increase the levels of 4 cadres by 1, unless I want to buy another cadre, which is also an option. But no, I think I'm just going to increase the level. So I'm going to increase these infantry by one here each. So that's going to go from 1 to 2. And then we have 2 more we can spend. We're going to increase this. Yeah, we'll increase this armor to 2 and this armor to 2. And that is going to be it for production for the Soviet Union. So now the turn marker goes to the west, and looking at their 3 markers. Remember, we don't count resources because everyone's at peace. We do look at industry though, so they're at 11. So they also have 11 points to spend. So let's get that D20 back out. And the west is kind of caught in the phase of indecision, I guess. Not looking good. I think what they're going to do is they're going to get, I think they're going to buy 4 of each card. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 investment cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the good news is their industry population and resource markers aren't that low, so that's good. Their military is kind of anemic still, so we might want to build that up. So that is 8, leaving us with 3 points, and they're going to use that to either build up existing or add cadres. So with just 3 points left to spend, I think we're going to add maybe another French unit down here. So I think we're going to grab a French infantry unit and put it into Lorraine. We've got 2 more to spend. We're going to increase this infantry unit in Britain by 1, and I think we're going to increase this fleet by 1. All right, so that was 3, so that's all of their action points. We will now go to the Axis. And the Axis is still looking for resources, so they're gonna still kind of want to be on a diplomacy push here. But at the same time, they've also got to get their military units built up a little bit more. So let's see. So they're currently sitting at, so we don't look at resources because they are at peace, but we do look at this population since that's their lowest between population and industry, and that's sitting at 14. So they're going to get 14 production points to spend. All right, so I think they're gonna, like I said, want to go on a diplomacy push, one final diplomacy push. They also want to build up their military units. I'm going to say they're going to get 5 of these action cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to say, so that's going to take them down to 9. And then I'm going to say they're going to get 3 investment cards. 1, 2, 3. And that's going to be it for cards. So that's going to take them down to 6. And those 6 points will be spent on building up military. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so that is going to be production for the Axis. And so that will take us out of the production phase. We'll be now going into the government phase. We'll move our phase marker to the government phase. We'll put our current turn marker back with the Soviets because they will get to go first. And in keeping with the theme, let me grab their cards here. We will begin with the investment card playing first, and then we'll get to the diplomacy right after that. So with that said, the Soviets are going to, well, this is interesting. Let's see, they're going to, so they have this card, this 1938 science card that says beginning in 1938. They can pair this card with any of the text listed below. That's sonar, naval radar, heavy tanks, air defense radar, motorized infantry, and atomic research 1. Well, they do have atomic research 1 in their hands, so I think they're going to play this card for that. And so that will give them atomic research level 1. That'll be good towards victory points, although I don't know if there's enough time to see an atomic victory in this particular game. Maybe there is, who knows, we'll wait and see. So that is their first play of their card in their government phase. And so we will now move to the west, and we'll put these Soviet cards back first, of course, though. So let's grab the west and see what they have here in the way of cards. And again, I am looking at the investment cards first and looking, I still think I don't think I'm going to build up their industry. It's tempting, but do I want to build up their industry? It would cost them 6. No, you know what? For now, so they've got 2 of these precision bomb sight cards. I'm going to play for one of those. We'll discard one of those, and that will give them precision bomb sight. And that, of course, says that their air forces can bomb industry at 1. So that might be an interesting thing to have if war breaks out. So that's the card play for the West. Now we go back to the Axis and take a look at their cards real quick here. Now the Axis also has this 1938 card like the Soviets did. And it, of course, again, affects sonar, naval radar, heavy tanks, air defense radar, motorized infantry, or atomic research 1. They do have a motorized infantry, so they're going to play that card to get motorized infantry. So that'll let their infantry move 3. So that'll be useful at some point, I think. All right, and now we go back to the Soviets again. And they might actually consider building up their industry one more level just to get some, because I'm looking at their technology cards aren't really that great. And you could also hold on to these technology cards and hope that they get something better next turn. Of course, that would be risky because if war breaks out, that may not be a good thing. So let's see, do they have rocket artillery? They do not. They only have one of those. So you know what I think I am going to do there? It would cost them 7 to build up their industry. And so I think they are going to do just that. They're going to spend 7 points to build up their industry again. So that's going to take their industry up to 12. And that will be their turn. So they're looking pretty good as far as these levels go. So let's go back now to the West. Again, I'm looking at building up their industry, and I think I'm going to do that. I am going to build up their industry. So I'm going to spend 7 points again. So that's 1 over what they need. And that will build their industry up to 12. And now we go back to the Axis. And the Axis is holding, and what is their industry at? Yeah, their industry is fine, but the Axis is holding 2 of these heavy bomber cards. And so what that will do is allow their air forces to move 3. So that they're going to get rid of one of those, and now they have heavy bombers. And we will go back now to the Soviets. I think that might be all the investment cards they want to play. So let me take a look at their diplomacy cards now. So the Soviets are going to play a Portugal card. Let's see, I'm getting my card play area mixed up with my technology. So let's put this, where can we put this? I'm just going to put it kind of up here off to the side. So it's going to be hard for you to see, but I can see it. So they're playing a Portugal card. And that is their card play. Now we're going to go to the West. The West is also now going to go into the diplomacy phase. Right off, they're going to play this isolationism card, which will allow them to remove 1 rival influence marker from the U.S. They can also do this for Spain, the Low Countries, Poland, Sweden, or Turkey, but they're going to do it for the U.S. So they're going to play that card, discard it, and that's going to move 1 of these German markers from the U.S. because they need the U.S. on their side as quickly as possible, I think. So now we're going to go back to the Axis, and do they want to play any more technology cards? And actually, they do. So they're also holding 2 of these sonar cards, and that will give their fleets first fire ability. So let's put one of those over there, and I'm going to scooch down the peace dividend markers. So now they have sonar. So technology is starting to fly amongst the powers, and that's their move. So we're going to go back now to the Soviets, who are going to play, well, they can't play a well, can they play a Czechoslovakia card? No, they can't. So they are going to play a Finland card. And so that will let me put their cards down. That will put potentially an influence marker into Finland, depending on what happens. So now we go to the West. And the West is going to play a Spain card. Try to get those Soviets out of Spain if they can. And now we're going to go to the Axis. And let's get the Axis cards here. What are the Axis? What will they do? So this is Yugoslavia. They already have 2 influence markers there, so they're going to play a Yugoslavia card. They would like to get Yugoslavia. That would be nice for them. So now we're going to go back to the Soviets. They're going to pass. So we're going to go to the West. West is going to counter the Axis with this Versailles card. And with this Versailles card, they are going to take out an influence marker from Yugoslavia. So that's going to get rid of a German marker from there. And that is their card play. We go now back to the Axis. And what does the Axis want to do here? So the Axis is going to play this Fear and Loathing card, and that is going to allow them to remove an influence marker from Norway for the West. So they're going to remove this marker from Norway. That is going to take the resources down to 15 for the West. And I don't believe it'll have no effect on the population. So that was the Axis. Now we go back to the Soviet Union. They're going to pass. So back to the West. And the West is going to... They're going to play a Greece card. So that is their card play. Go back to the Axis. And the Axis, let's see. Axis is going to play a Latin America card. And so now we go back to the USSR. They're going to pass back to the West. The West is going to pass back to the Axis. The Axis is going to... They are going to pass. And so that's going to be it. That's going to be 3 passes, and that is going to end the government phase. Well, it's going to almost end the government phase. We need to resolve the diplomacy plays first. So we will start up here with the Soviets. So they've played a Finland and a Portugal card. So let's see. I don't think anyone countered either one of those. So Finland... We're going to put a Soviet influence marker into Finland. And so that will give them a resource bump to 14. Let's see, Finland resource, Helsinki is not going to give them any population. And then there's Portugal. So we will put an influence marker into Portugal for the Soviets. That's going to give them another resource marker. And Lisbon is just a town, so nothing, no population increase for that. We'll go over here now to the West. There's a Greece card out. I don't see a counter for that. So Greece is going to be a influence now for the West into Greece. So Athens will give them 1 resource. So that will go to 16. Athens is also a town. And then a Spain card was played by the West, so that will simply eliminate one of the Soviet influence markers in Spain. And then back down here, we have a Latin America for the Axis, so that's going to be an Axis influence marker into Latin America, which will be 2 resource bump for the Axis, which is sorely needed for them. And then Yugoslavia, we're going to add another influence marker into Yugoslavia for the Axis, simply putting back the one that the West took out. So let's see, we have resolved the diplomacy cards and do a quick check on the hand sizes here. And everyone is well within their hand size. Yeah, there's only 3 for the West and only 3 for the Axis. So now we are out of the government phase officially, and that'll take us into the spring phase, our first command phase. And of course, that will start with the Soviets. And let's see if they want to move anyone. All right, and so the Soviets are going to pass for the spring. And now we will go to the West. The West, is going to pass. And now we're going to go to the Axis, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, they're going to pass too. So we'll go back to the Soviets. This will take us into the summer. And again, the Soviets are simply going to pass. The West is going to pass. The Axis is going to pass. Not a lot of movement is going to happen this turn. We're not going to worry about blockades, or of course we're not checking for supply or any of that stuff. The fall is going to be the same thing. They're all going to pass. The winter turn for the Soviets, they're going to pass. And rapidly, we're going to go into a new year. We're going to advance this turn marker up to 1940 and bring us to a close here for this fourth turn of Triumph and Tragedy. So not a lot changed. We're still headed towards war. I've got a feeling the Soviets are certainly in position to do that. The Axis now is definitely, with these resources, up, mostly through acquiring influence in Latin America. They may try something for sure next turn. The United States is going to start ramping up their interest in what's going on over here as well as we get into 1941, 2, 3, and 4. So the Western Alliance is counting on that heavily because they need the United States to be involved in this if something goes south quick. So that's going to do it. A quick turn for Triumph and Tragedy. And when we come back, we will start 1940. If you like the video, please give it a like. Subscribe if you haven't. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you back here next time.